Welcome to USA Football's Coach and Coordinator Podcast, where top football coaches from around the country share their stories, philosophies, concepts, and strategies to help you get better on and off the field. Now, here's your host, Keith Grabowski.
Hey, coaches, before we get going today, I just wanted to thank you for all you've been doing to support this podcast, and we have an incredible lineup coming up here. We have just about every major college conference represented. We have a ton of FBS coaches, Division II coaches, Division III coaches, some great high school football coaches coming on the podcast to share with you and help you grow professionally during this time. I really appreciate all of you asking your questions on Twitter. Please follow me at Coach K. Grabowski for our daily updates on our guests and your opportunity to ask questions. We will read them on the show and attribute those to you. So please contribute to the show as much as you can. I also want to talk to you a little bit about our football development model, which is something we've rolled out here at USA Football. And this is really for you to be able to help your youth football programs develop. It's about a long-term athlete development plan, something that comes off of the American development model, which is something that the USOC has put together. The idea is that we're able to teach skills in a progression starting at the youngest ages. We're also looking at the different game types we have, whether that's flag, which is non-contact, limited contact games like padded flag or tackle bar, and full contact, and the right progressions for contact teaching there as well. Be sure to check out all we do at footballdevelopment.com and check out what we're doing with the FDM, the football development model, at usafootball.com/FDM. usafootball.com. On today's podcast, we're going to address some issues that have come to the forefront now with the coronavirus and with everybody kind of being remote and quarantined. And we're going to take a look at some things that can help. And joining me on the podcast to talk about both his football journey and how they best teach their players is the senior offensive analyst at the U, Coach John Brewer. Coach, it's great to have you here.
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Well, I know you got some time on your hands, and we kind of all have that now as we work from our home offices and learn to be in a online mobile world. But before we get into some of those things, Coach, I just want to talk to you a little bit about your coaching journey. For you, it started as a high school coach, and you've moved up the ranks since then.
Yeah, coaching in 2005, when I graduated high school, I got an internship or volunteer, however you want to call it, with a guy named Ronnie Peacock. He was the head coach at my high school I played at, and so I went to the University of Arkansas. And so when I was going to school, I'd go to school during the day, and in the afternoon I would spend pretty much afternoon all the way till late nights with him for about 4 years. And then I got hired on full-time when I graduated college and was a full-time high school coach and teacher. And then I got married, and a week after our wedding, I got a call from Coach Lashley and Coach Malzahn at Auburn, and got offered a graduate assistant job working with the offensive line. And so I had to tell my wife after a week of marriage that, hey, we're moving to Auburn, Alabama, and get ready to roll. And was there for 4 years. Was an offensive line graduate assistant for 3 of those years. Last year I was an analyst working with the receivers. And then Coach Lashley got the opportunity to go to Connecticut, at the University of Connecticut. And so he offered me an off-the-field job, and I went with him up there. We were there for about 11 months, and then went to SMU. We were there for 2 years. I got a chance to go with him there. One of the years I got the chance to be the interim offensive line coach while we had a coach deal with some health issues. And then got a great opportunity to come to Miami, come to the U. And so he called, and I said, hey, it's a no-brainer. You know, it's the U. I mean, it's an unbelievable place to live, work, and the players and the tradition is unreal. So I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's do it. So it's been very fortunate in my career. I've been in the right place at the right time with the right people. I grew up in the same area as Coach Malzahn and Coach Lashley, so that's kind of my connection to get in the college football world. And they knew I wanted to coach college football. I used to work Coach Malzahn's quarterback and receiver camps at Tulsa back when he was at Tulsa with the 2006-2007 season. So they knew I wanted to do this, and so whenever they had a chance to open opportunity, I got a call and took up on it.
So, Coach, when you're making that move. You're coaching high school ball, going to college. It's not always easy to make that jump. What things helped you to be able to get that first position and get to the college level?
Well, I would have to say for me, it was to give my time to the college coaches. Like, hey, you don't have to pay me. You don't have to give me any shirts or anything like that. I'll just come work for free. That's what I ended up doing. I ended up working on the summer camps. I did it when I was in Tulsa. I did it whenever Coach Miles went to Arkansas State. I used to work their summer camps for free. I stayed in touch with Coach Miles and Coach Lashley. And they knew that's what I wanted to do, and I would always try to be around. I always try to keep contact with them, and they knew I was eager to get in the college football game. And now they did tell me whenever they called and offered me a job, like, hey, this is not, this is a hard job, and you're gonna. It's especially a graduate assistant job. You have to do a lot of grunt work, a lot of shoveling the coal, so to speak. But it's hard. But it is there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think you'd be good for us. I was fired up. So.
And it is a challenge. There are a lot of guys who get into that and they're shoveling coal and decide that they don't want to shovel coal and go into something else. But it's certainly part of it. You're there to learn. You need to do some essential things, the grunt work maybe that, falls to you. So for you, key things to be able to be one of those guys who continue to move on. You've had, just an incredible journey around the country here at some great places. Now at the U, what were the things and what was the mindset you had that allowed you to continue moving on in this profession?
Well, I would have to say just for me personally, it was trying to learn. When I got offered a graduate assistant job at Auburn, it was with the offensive line. I was always a quarterback, receiver guy. I played quarterback in high school in an air raid 5-wide set. And when I got a call, they were like, hey, you're gonna be working with the offensive line. I'm like, great. And then I got fortunate to work with a guy named J.B. Grimes, which I consider like one of the godfathers of offensive line play, in modern college football. And so I got to spend 3 years doing something I had no idea about. It was almost like I had a fresh brain, no my own thoughts or anything like that. That was one of the most beneficial things for me, is to learn that and be around that day in and day out.
So moving forward now, Coach, you're at the U. By the way, I'm jealous. If there's a place to be quarantined, it's not bad to be in Coral Gables, Florida. Definitely beat Cleveland, Ohio, I'll tell you that. But, now at the U, especially right now, some challenging times. How have you guys looked at dealing with, this period of no contact, of not being around your guys? Obviously, recruiting, you're going to have to be on the phones, but, we're at a time where you're not having much, face-to-face contact with outside of the people within your home.
Oh, yeah. We were lucky that we had 4 really, really good long practices before we went on spring break. And then, they've canceled school coming into school after our spring break. So we were lucky to kind of have those 4 days to really kind of set the tone of what we want to do offensively. We're not complicated. We're not, installing a bunch of plays and like that, but we want to, install the identity of what we want to do. We want to be fast, and physical and relentless. And so you come out to practice, those guys were like, holy cow, we had 4 days of where it was literally like something brand new to them. And it was good for them because I think it sets the tone for like, this is what we want. This is the standard we're trying to achieve. And so they kind of have an idea, even though we're not there practicing right now, at least they have an idea of when we come back, when we do get to practice at whatever point that is, they know, hey, this is what it's going to be like. It's not something brand new. They already have the idea of what we're trying to achieve. And so what we're trying to do now is we're trying to put together a plan saying, hey, how can we potentially maybe install small increments of stuff? How can guys, teach and coach maybe on a video or and let our players have access to it, to have it anytime. Really, anytime they're sitting around the house, they want to look at stuff. I know we're also potentially putting together maybe some types of workouts, that kind of stuff some guys can be doing on their own. It's a different time. This is something new and you really maybe not planned for, and so we're kind of getting all of our team together, off the field guys and our head coach. So
yeah, it's I think it's good you got those 4 days in, so now they know, okay, this is who we're going to be physically. This is kind of the what we're going to build on. But I guess the part you lose in losing those 12 other days is there's a lot of mental side to this as well. And you mentioned, being able to get them video, being able to get them some things. So how do you guys go about doing that?
Well, what we do is obviously we're like most teams in the country. We use Exos, and so we have Exos Thundercloud, and our guys can access, practice video and that kind of stuff to that. But how we do our installs, we use an application called a playbook application called Just Play, and what that allows us to do is it allows us to have all of our drawings, video attached to those drawings, and to be able to give those, send it out to the players on their phones or their iPads, where they can access it. They can ask questions through the app. We can give them immediate feedback. We can also generate tests and test them on stuff that we've installed that day. And so it's really just it's an interactive video playbook for our guys. And so our guys don't have to sit there and hey, do I remember my binder or anything like that? Oh, hey, I don't have internet. I can't get to my Exos account. And then I Just Play. They can download it right on their phone when if they don't have internet or they don't have cell service at some point, which most kids always do. And so that's kind of how we share all of our information out to the kids. Everything that from drawings to videos to corrections, that kind of stuff, all goes through our Just Play app.
Yeah, I was able to have this app as a coach, and I loved it as well. And, I think number one, if you want to reach your kids and you really want them to get into the stuff you're doing, if you're not on their phone, you're probably having issues. That's where those guys are the most. They don't want to be in front of a laptop. I mean, they want to learn their stuff 3 minutes at a time. So being able to have it on the phone is a huge advantage.
Yeah, that's the deal. Is these kids always have they always have their phones, and just like us too, because you got to have your phone around for recruiting, but you got to have the ability to access that stuff on their phones, and so that's just what our application allows them to to do, and they can easily click through stuff. It's very there's nothing complicated about it. Once they have the app installed on their phone, they only get the information we share out to them, so it's not like they have to sit there and try to sort through and thumb through stuff. It literally says install 1, install 2, install 3, maybe corrections for the day, maybe some thoughts, that kind of stuff. But that's it. And so it's not like there's a huge amount of information that they just get lost in. They get exactly what we want them to see.
Yeah, that's the best part of it is it makes it something that isn't overwhelming to them. What I liked as I started looking at this, and I think back to even, around 2004, I was using, our playbooks were all on PowerPoint. I had gotten into PowerPoint, and we were handing out, I can remember it at the time, we were handing out CDs that had the PowerPoint on it, and most kids didn't have PowerPoint, so we actually had to put like an EXE program on it, like a PowerPoint viewer. So the kids, and they were like all hyperlinked, and you could, click a couple things and you get exactly to where you want, and they were animated, so it was really cool for the kids, something like they hadn't seen before. And, we just continued to grow from there and had DVD cut-ups. But I found like at some point, while we made it easy for them, we were like in 5 or 6 pieces of technology to get quizzes done, to get review, to have interaction. It was like, it became a little bit, burdensome as far as the workflow for the coaches. And when I saw this app and first met Austin Barone sometime around, because it must have been around 2013 or 14, I was like, yes, this is it. This is what I've been looking for the longest time, because it streamlined everything. And that's what I loved about it the most.
Yeah, and that's what, I've got coaches calling me, asking me about what do we use, and do we use Visio and that kind of stuff, and do we use PowerPoint? And, we do maybe use a little bit of PowerPoint for some, some title slides and an Exos cut up or something like that. But primarily everything we do is on Just Play. And what it does is allows our coaches, all the off the field guys primarily, the guys that really are the guys that dive into the playbook and make all the edits, we're able to edit the playbook at the same time. There's no like Visio where you're having to save hey, did you save the document? Are you out of it yet so I can open it? None of that. You can literally, for us, it'd be like, hey, you're working in the run game, I'm working here. We're in the same playbook, opening the same thing, making the same drawing edits, or on the same edit the whole time. And so it's kind of this. Essentially, it's like a Google Doc. If you have any experience like Google Doc with like Google Excel or Google Word, where people can. That's what all the major companies do now. They have people working all over the world, not working on one document, one thing, and they can all do it at the same time. And so that's just what the app does for us. It makes things a lot smoother, a lot faster. We don't have to wait for people. Guys can have their own little assignments for what they're supposed to be putting in, and we can put out content a lot faster and make changes a lot faster. And the other deal is too is you probably remember you're sitting there, a coach gives you a sheet of paper, said, "Hey, I need this drawn up." You draw it up, you put it on Visio, and like say you send it out in a PDF. You're like, oh, dang it, that guy's supposed to run a 3-step slant or something, and you're like, oh, I put it in 5 or whatever it is. And you're like, oh, no, what do I do? Well, I got to redraw it, resave it, resend it out as a PDF. Well, just for what we do, we sit there and like, hey, we're going through the document. Oh, it looks like it's drawn wrong. We just literally make one change, hit save, and it automatically updates on everybody's forever. And so there's no having to resend anything out. Like they don't know that if something gets changed, it literally gets changed instantly. And so, just as a coach, and primarily it works mostly with the off the field guys. That's huge for us because it just saves us time. We can focus our time on some other things.
Yeah, is the drawing tool is the best one out there, and it really has all the functionality of what you're trying to do with a Visio to save certain elements of a play. Maybe you're saving, a certain front or movement up front that you're going to use again and again. You have all those options, but the play drawing tool is just fantastic. And as you said, it's like live real-time changes if you need to adjust something, that you're able to put in there. And, I've heard guys who use it before, they talk about it as being Visio on steroids.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's good for us because we get new guys in all the time. Every year people leave and get jobs and all that. And what we've done is we've built just like you would on Visio, but it's a little bit easier to access. Because everybody has the same stencil layout. On ours, in our team share, a guy goes in there and he wants to pull up what we call a bang 8. He clicks and drags it and drops it right on the document, and it links up. And so there's no confusion of, hey, how do I draw this thing all the way to here? It's already done for him. You know what I mean? And so it just kind of makes that process a lot faster, and it makes the consistency throughout every drawing. Because we want everything to always look the same, no matter who's doing what drawing or who's doing what typing of information. Everything always looks the same, so it all looks uniform for the kids, and there's no changes.
Yeah, I know. I love too that the drawing tool actually shows you the yards you're drawing at, so it's not like I'm trying to match it up on on the the field template that's underneath it. It actually shows you, okay, you're at 6.5 yards. Okay, you're at 7. Like you talk about precision in that, it's right there for you.
The precision in the route drawings, you can change the field layouts for us. We'll change stuff from, hey, here's a whole field diagram of what we call stuff. Hey, here's a red zone. Look at this play when we run this down the red zone. So maybe the route depths change, that kind of stuff. So you can change stuff so quick that normally you got to copy and paste and put things here and there. You got 2 different documents open. This you don't. It's just it allows us to do a lot of things a lot faster and a lot simpler.
When I first started looking at this, and I would tell coaches about it because I'd get off, like right now I'm getting all fired up about it. Their objection was like, well, I got Huddle, or well, I got DV Sport, the higher levels. I got Exos, and the whole thing as I thought about it is those things are really tools for the coaches. And yes, we're going to use them in our meeting rooms. Yeah. Yes, we're going to use them to watch film. You could put playlists together, but they don't necessarily address how the players learn and how the players think about this game because they're not us. Right. We could sit there in a dark room and watch film for 8 hours a day, again and again, a lot of us, and think nothing of it. But those guys want to get what they need and move on with their lives. And, this is something that really meets them where they're at.
Yeah, and like you said before, we just figured out that kids don't carry playbooks or they lose them. And what do they have on them all the time? Their phones. And so we have something that we can get instant access into their phone where it can pop up for them. And like they can access it anytime they're just sitting around waiting, they're out to eat. We send them new content. When we send them new content, let's say it's install 2 or for day 2, it sends a little alert. It says, hey, install 2 has been shared with you. Those guys can click it and they can go through and they can see a play drawing of it. They can see maybe some other variations of the play that we may be installing that day, and then some video, some clean looks that are right there next to it. So a kid can get, a minute and a half of seeing what we're doing and then move on to the next play. And so it's not having a kid having to log in somewhere or get a DVD or, come by and pick up a packet, a teaching packet, that kind of stuff. Like, kids just don't do that these days. That's just not how they're ingrained.
Right. Printing them out the old 8-box, right? Like they don't look at plays like that. And this, they can swipe through. And as you said, see the video right there alongside it. It's not being overwhelmed with 8 different variations of this on one page.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's just, I think being able to visually see something, maybe a drawing or a picture of something and then a video clip of it, I think it just kind of gives them, okay, hey, here's what they mean by this, here's what they mean by this. And, then we have some coaching points underneath it that they can read through, like, hey, the quarterback, this is what his assignment is, just remember this, and receiver 1, 2, and 3, so on. And so, and then the other part is, like, for every play, there's an ask question deal. And so, like, we have it all the time. A guy's going through a play and he says, hey, on inside zone, I'm not real clear on what our back's path may be. And so he sends that question and it pops up and it sends it to his assigned coach. So then they would send it to his running backs coach and maybe his running back analyst. And they would both come together, write an answer up and send it back to the player, and they'd answer a question right then. And so without a kid having to go through text or like that, the interaction part is the key.
Right. It's all there in one place. That's what's really cool about it. And as you get into, whether it's spring ball, it's fall camp, whatever, you have your installs by day. You can have, your game plans all put in there. The level of organization you get really is, how do you want to organize it? There's that flexibility within it that, you're not really caught up by any templates that they've created. You're essentially being able to package this how you like to package it as a coach.
Yeah, and we're not just giving out a playbook like, hey, here's all of our stuff. Here's everything we do. Learn it. We're giving it to them in an organized teaching fashion, a progression teaching format. And that's teacher 101. You know what I mean? You gotta build it for how you want to, install it and instruct it. And so, that's what I like, is that a kid's not just sitting there flipping through pages and going, hey, coach, on day 16 we're doing this, and what am I supposed to do? And I'm like, dude, you don't even know how we even call formations yet. You know what I mean? Like, let's learn formations today. Let's have a quiz on formations today. Then let's move on to how we call plays, that kind of deal.
Yeah, the quiz function was something that really got me hooked too, because number one, from my side, very, very easy for me to create as a coach, but the feedback I'm getting really telling me, how am I doing teaching you this stuff? How are you doing learning this stuff? As you move through your installs, that you can give them, not just installs, you could give them over the course of the week, right? How well do you know this? And I think back to the days of, you can probably remember this, like, we give you a paper test on a Friday before the game. And so I find out on Friday that you don't know this stuff well. Why am I not finding that out on Monday when I can address those issues?
No, exactly right. I can, it's old adage, like, okay, well, what if our starting left tackle doesn't know this stuff? We're gonna pull him because he failed the test. Like, why are we giving? Are we giving a test just because that's what we've always done? And we only give it on Fridays. And so our thought process was just, we can be able to quiz our guys, not just by questions either. Like, we use parts of the video from the installation as a quiz, and maybe like, hey, what's the running back's path on inside zone? And we show them a video or some video coordinated with it. You can pause it. There's a lot of manipulation tools you can do with it. And so we do that. We can use pictures. We can use multiple choice tests. You can do a time function. And the deal is you get instant feedback. And so I can go on my phone and just see the analytics of all my guys' tests and see, what questions they all missed. And so I can know as a teacher right now, I need to cover this. I don't have to worry about these other ones they got right. I need to cover this stuff because they don't know this stuff. And like you said, I don't have to wait till Friday night or Saturday morning when I'm grading the test to be like, oh crap, we got to re-cram all this stuff back into them. I can do it on a Monday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday. It doesn't matter. In the tests are easily generated.
Yeah, and you've seen this because you were using this at SMU as well. It's a funny effect that it has on the culture of your unit, the culture of your team. That it's just starting. It promotes this culture of we're here to learn. We're here to give you feedback. It's not I'm going to hammer you all the time. I'm here to help you learn this stuff, and this is the best tool for us to do it. So it, in a lot of ways, it helps start to frame that as even part of your culture. Part of our culture is we're here, we're going to learn, we're going to get better, we're going to grow together.
Yeah, and part of the culture is, we're teachers. You know what I mean? Like we're not. We are football coaches on it, but we're teachers. We're teachers of the game of football, and so how effectively can you teach something, and that's just what it allows us to do effectively, teach our guys. So,
well, Coach, looking at this time, I think we're all trying to figure out how does this affect us moving forward. I know we got 5 teenagers in our house here. This is day 1 of online schooling, which they haven't done before. They've been used to sitting in classrooms, so kids are definitely going to be familiar with this, and I'm sure we're going to see that might become something more that we're seeing. And this I think would just go right along with that. This is a tool that works that way. But what do you think as far as moving forward? Why this might be something good for coaches to take a look at?
Well, like you said before, the way things are, the next couple weeks are probably going to be, or months are going to be, we're not going to maybe be around our guys, be able to get information to them, be able to maybe put up coach demonstration videos where they can see a coach installing a play or talking through maybe corrections from practices before all this happened too. And, the other aspect that we really utilize it, the app, is we use it as our opponent scout. And so we build a massive opponent scout where it has every player in the 2 deep on defense. Start with the defensive line. What's his best pass rush move? How's he take on double teams? Who's their weakest defensive lineman? Who's their strongest defensive lineman? Who's their best run defensive lineman? And then our guys create profiles for every opponent player that we play against in that 2 deep, and those have video clips in with it. So imagine it's the same way as a play. They've got a detailed description of what this guy is, in short sentences that the guys can, get the information quickly, and then there's video attached to it. So like, hey, here's the top 5 pass rush moves this guy does. And those guys can watch it really quick. Instead of saying, back in the day, like, oh yeah, just go in there and watch some tape. Well, they don't. They just go in there and they're watching games. I don't even know what they're watching. And whereas now we can actually instruct those guys where to go to, and like, hey, watch these clips. Here's the clips of this corner in press coverage, And then we also do it for a whole defensive schematic. So when we break down the defense, we'll take their top 5 coverage calls, let's say, and we drawings with it with video attached to it. So anybody can go in, any of our players can go in and watch exactly like an install video of the opponent's defense going into that game on that Monday. And so they can sit there and have an idea of it. Then they can go back and watch a game and go, okay, yeah, here's the keys. Here's the keys the coach was saying on this coverage, what to look for. Here's the key guy. Here's what he's telling me about what I should be seeing here. And so, and then we can test them on that as well. And so that's probably one of the biggest for us, is to be able to give our guys a detailed scouting report on our opponents when the season comes. And so, with the time off right now, because we've kind of already built out our installs, that's kind of what we're going to start focusing all of our attention on, is starting to get a head start on all of our opponent scout and all of our profile builds for our opponents coming up.
Well, Coach, I know you're going to get to work on that, so you will be busy, even though there's a shutdown here, a lot of work to do. I really appreciate you taking the time. If our listeners have questions for you, what's the best way for them to contact you?
They can hit me up just like every I guess everybody in the country now with Twitter. I'm at Coach Brewha. That's CoachBrewha. That's at Coach Brewha. Also, my email's at CoachJonathanBrewer@gmail.com. That's my main email I use. And so if they got any questions or want to share any tips they use, we're always open ears. We're trying to learn. So makes us better and more efficient.
Well, I love it, Coach. And again, thank you for sharing the time, and good luck to the U here in the fall.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Coaches, again, I want to remind you of what we're doing with the football development model. Please push this down to your youth coaches. I think this is a great way for you to get some organization and structure beyond what you've already done. Check it out, all of our program development for youth football at fdm.usafootball.com. Again, check out our systems for blocking, tackling, and defeating blocks at footballdevelopment.com. If you register with your email, you get your choice of 3 free videos. There's some great things in there. I think things that as you get going again, you can get into the summer and maybe make up on some things that you might have lost if you had a spring ball, if you had time here in the spring to work on football. Some great drills for all those phases of contact. If you're enjoying the podcast, please head over to iTunes or your platform and give us a 5-star rate. If you have a minute, write a review. We really appreciate it, and we will read your review on our highlight show that we do at the end of the week.